Cop gets death penalty, then her German Shepherd does the unthinkable. The courtroom froze the instant the judge's gavel slammed against the wood. The court sentences Officer Dana Whitaker to death by lethal injection. A collective gasp swept through the packed gallery. Dana, once celebrated for her bravery, stood motionless, her hands trembling at her sides. But before anyone could process the sentence, a low, feral growl echoed from the back of the room. Heads turned in unison. Her German Shepherd, Shadow, stood in the aisle, his fur bristling, teeth exposed, eyes locked on the judge like he understood every word. Security instinctively reached for their weapons, but Shadow didn't wait. He lunged, everything blurred after that, but this moment. This moment had been 3 months in the making. It all started when Dana, a respected K-9 officer, stumbled across an encrypted folder on a police department server. It wasn't just random data. It held irrefutable evidence that the deputy commissioner had been orchestrating illegal raids, planting evidence, and worse, arranging hits on anyone who got too close. Dana could have stayed silent, but that wasn't who she was. She took the files straight to internal affairs. That choice sealed her fate. Within 24 hours, her world imploded. A rigged search of her apartment turned up bricks of heroin that weren't hers, and worse, a murdered confidential informant shot with Dana's service weapon. Shadow had barked non-stop as they dragged her from her home in handcuffs. With one last desperate cry, she yelled just one word, and Shadow listened. While Dana rotted in a jail cell, isolated and silenced, Shadow disappeared from public sight. But not for long. Strange reports started trickling in. A dog matching Shadow's description had been spotted slipping past department checkpoints, ducking surveillance, vanishing before anyone could catch him. Then the bodies started showing up. The first was Officer Nolan, the man whose false testimony had sealed Dana's indictment, found dead inside his home, throat torn, blood spelling one word across his floor. Liar. The department called it a random attack. The media wasn't so sure. Dana's trial was a joke. Her defense was underfunded. Her witnesses silenced. Her appeals denied. As her execution date loomed closer, she finally broke down one night and whispered to the only guard who treated her like a person. "Tell Shadow it's over." That same night, the guard was found dead in the hallway, his hand clutching a stolen key to Dana's cell. The next evening, the night before her scheduled execution, Dana sat on the edge of her prison cot, defeated, her face buried in her hands. That's when she heard it, a low scratching at the steel door. She looked up. Shadow stood there, muzzle streaked with blood, eyes fierce and alive. Between his teeth, a battered, dirt-smear external hard drive, the missing evidence. As dawn broke and guards prepped for her final walk, chaos exploded through the prison. Sirens blared as Shadow tore through the execution wing, ducking bullets, ripping through security. Dana seized the moment. She grabbed a fallen guard's phone and with trembling fingers started a live broadcast straight to social media. The footage rolled. The voice of Deputy Commissioner Hale crackled from the files. "End her. Stage it like an accident. I want no loose ends." The video went viral in minutes. Inside the death chamber, the broadcast played on stunned officers' phones. The execution was halted instantly. By the time the sun fully rose, Dana stood in the middle of the prison yard, freed and embraced by a sea of cameras and reporters. Shadow limped to her side, battered but alive, pressing against her leg like he'd never left. Hale was arrested within hours. Dana's record was cleared. And as the press surged forward for interviews, Dana knelt beside her dog, wrapped her arms around him and whispered, "You never stopped fighting for me." Shadow, the dog they'd called a fugitive and a menace, just wagged his tail and licked her face. Justice had been served with teeth. If this story struck a chord with you, hit that like button and drop a justice for Dana in the comments. And don't forget, sometimes loyalty comes with fangs.